The Nation of Islam is a religious and political movement founded in 1930 by Wallace Fard Muhammad in Detroit, who members believe is Allah in human form. Unlike mainstream Islam, which sees God as invisible and without form, the nation teaches that God appeared in America as a man to uplift black people. Elijah Muhammad, a student of Fard, became the messenger of God and led the group by preaching that black people are the original people of Earth, and claims that a scientist named Yaqub created the white race over 6,000 years through genetic manipulation on the island of Patmos. These white people were inherently violent and rebellious and would later bring suffering to the original black race. While the group uses Islamic terms and symbols, it is not considered part of Orthodox Islam due to its unique beliefs, especially the idea of God being a man and elevating Elijah Muhammad above traditional prophets. Public figures like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali were once members, though both later turned to mainstream Islam. The Nation of Islam believes Fard Muhammad will return on the mothership to eradicate white people. With approximately 35,000 active members, the group has been labeled as a black supremacist hate group due to its racism towards white people. Unification Church, also known as the Moonies, was founded in South Korea in 1954 by Sun Myung Moon, who claimed to be the second coming of Christ. Moon wrote in his book that Jesus appeared to him through a period of 9 years so that he could finish the work Jesus failed to accomplish due to his crucifixion. Members believe Moon is the new Messiah sent to create a perfect world through restoring families, which is why the church is known for its mass-arranged marriages. They teach that Jesus failed to establish God's kingdom because he was crucified before marrying, so Moon and his wife are seen as the true parents who will save humanity by building ideal families. The church uses Christian language but twists key doctrines. For example, they believe salvation comes not through Jesus' sacrifice, but through following the teachings and blessings of Sun Myung Moon. Because of these beliefs, traditional Christian churches reject the Unification Church as unbiblical and consider it a cult. Their theology departs from the Bible in major ways, and their focus on Moon as a divine figure is seen as false and dangerous by mainstream Christianity. The Ku Klux Klan is a white supremacist hate group founded in the United States in the aftermath of the American Civil War. The Klan's racist and violent actions are all based on their belief that they are the true children of God, and all other races are outcasts trying to take their place in society. The KKK's religious belief system is tied to a racist interpretation of the Bible. They believe that white people, especially those of Anglo-Saxon descent, are the true chosen ones of God, and that non-white people, especially black people, are seen as inferior and sometimes even described as subhuman or soulless. According to Klan theology, God is not equally the God of all races. They believe God ordained a natural racial hierarchy with white people at the top. Therefore, they argue that other races either exist in a lower spiritual state or were not meant to have the same rights and privileges. In some extremist interpretations, non-white races are seen as being outside of God's covenant or as tools of Satan. This belief allows them to justify violence and discrimination, claiming that their actions are in defense of divine order. The overwhelming majority of Christian denominations, both historically and today, have condemned the Klan as a blasphemous and evil organization. Westboro Baptist Church is a Christian extremist hate group known for extreme anti-LGBTQ+ views, claiming God hates America due to tolerance of homosexuality. It was founded by Fred Phelps in 1955 in the city of Kansas, USA. The church teaches that almost everyone outside their group is doomed to hell, especially targeting LGBTQ people, soldiers, and even other Christians, saying their suffering is God's punishment for a sinful world. They are infamous for protesting at funerals with offensive signs, claiming disasters and tragedies are signs of God's wrath. They are also known for indoctrinating children as a young age, raising them as walking picket signs, despite knowing they will be publicly ostracized. Westboro believes that God hates those who disobey his laws and shows no mercy to them, which completely contradicts the message of the Bible that offers forgiveness and redemption to all through Jesus Christ. Because of their hateful theology and cruel actions, no major Christian denomination recognizes them as legitimate, and they are widely condemned by both religious and secular communities. La Familia Michoacana is a violent Mexican drug cartel that falsely presents itself as a religious and moral organization. Founded in the early 2000s in the state of Michoacan, the group mixes criminal activity like drug trafficking, extortion, and murder with twisted religious ideas. They claim to follow Christian values, even distributing their own version of the Bible to members, filled with teachings from their former leader Nazario Moreno, who called himself the craziest one. Moreno preached that the cartel's mission was to protect the poor, maintain order, and cleanse society of evil, even while committing brutal acts of violence. Members are required to live by a strict code of loyalty, prayer, and family devotion, but those who disobey are often tortured or killed. Their use of religion is a tool to justify their actions, gain loyalty, and create fear. True Christianity teaches peace, forgiveness, and love, which is the opposite of how La Familia operates. Their beliefs are widely rejected by all legitimate religious communities who see the group as a criminal cult using faith to manipulate and control. Black Hebrew Israelites are a religious movement that believes African Americans are the true descendants of the ancient Israelites, not the Jews commonly recognized today. While their teachings vary, many branches reject mainstream Christianity and Judaism, claiming the Bible was written specifically for black people and that salvation is only for them. Some sects teach that white people are descendants of Esau and are cursed or destined for destruction, and they often preach in public with aggressive language and confrontational methods. They also believe Jesus was a black man and that the true Jews have been deceived and scattered through slavery. Because of their twisted interpretations of Scripture and racist theology, both Christian churches and Jewish communities do not recognize them as legitimate. Their teachings often mix bits of the Bible with historical conspiracy theories, creating a belief system that sounds biblical but strays far from the message of love, grace, and unity taught by Jesus Christ. League of the South is a white nationalist and neo-Confederate group founded in 1994 that promotes the idea that the southern United States should secede and form its own nation based on what they call Christian values and Anglo-Celtic heritage. They claim to defend traditional Southern culture, but in reality they push a racist, anti-Semitic, and anti-immigrant agenda. The group believes that white people are divinely chosen to rule and that America has fallen because it has abandoned its Christian roots and allowed multiculturalism to take over. They misuse Christianity to justify white supremacy, stating that God created separate races to live apart and that racial mixing is a sin. They also call for a return to a society where women are submissive and traditional gender roles dominate. Mainstream Christian churches reject the League's teachings as unbiblical, heretical, and rooted in hate. While they use Christian language, their beliefs stand in direct opposition to the message of the gospel, which teaches love, unity, and equality in Christ for all people, regardless of race or background. Islamic State, also known as ISIS, is a violent extremist group that twists Islamic teachings to justify terror and brutality. They believe they are building a caliphate, or Islamic empire, ruled by strict Sharia law, where their leader is seen as the only true authority for all Muslims. They teach that anyone who doesn't follow their radical version of Islam, Muslims, Christians, or anyone else, is an enemy of God and should be killed. ISIS promotes brutal punishments like beheadings, crucifixions, and burning people alive, claiming it's all commanded by God. They believe in forcing people to convert, enslaving women, and wiping out entire communities in the name of religion. These views are rejected by the vast majority of Muslims around the world, who see ISIS as a violent cult that distorts Islam. At their peak around 2014 and 2015, they controlled large parts of Iraq and Syria with tens of thousands of fighters and millions living under their rule. They also inspired attacks and followers in other countries, making their influence global. These views are rejected by the vast majority of Muslims, who see ISIS as a violent cult that distorts Islam. The Aryan Brothers. The Aryan Brotherhood is a violent white supremacist prison gang that blends criminal activity with racist and twisted religious beliefs. Though not a traditional religious group, they often mix elements of Norse mythology, Christian identity, and occult symbolism to justify their hatred. Many members believe in a version of Christian identity theology, which falsely claims that white people are God's true chosen race and that other races, especially Black and Jewish people, are either inferior or even descendants of Satan. This belief fuels their violent actions, including murder, assaults, and hate crimes both inside and outside prisons. They see themselves as soldiers in a racial holy war, using religion not for worship, but as a weapon to promote white dominance. Their religious views are completely rejected by mainstream Christianity, which teaches love, equality, and grace for all people. The Aryan Brotherhood uses faith as a tool for violence, making them not only a criminal gang but also a dangerous hate group driven by racist and extremist theology. Christian Identity Movement is a racist and anti-Semitic religious ideology that twists Christianity to promote white supremacy. Followers believe that white Europeans are the true descendants of the ancient Israelites, and that Jews are imposters, sometimes even calling them the children of Satan. They also claim that non-white people were created before Adam and are soulless or inferior beings. Based on these beliefs, they teach that only white people can be saved and that God intends for the races to remain separate. These ideas fuel hatred toward Jews, Black people, immigrants, and anyone outside their narrow definition of God's chosen. Some groups tied to Christian identity promote violence and view themselves as warriors in a holy war to reclaim what they believe is a God-given white nation. Their beliefs are completely rejected by all mainstream Christian denominations, which preach love, equality, and salvation through Jesus Christ for all people. The Christian identity movement distorts religion to justify hate, making it one of the most dangerous religious-based hate ideologies in America. New Black Panther Party. Founded in 1989 in Dallas, Texas, is a Black nationalist organization that has been widely denounced as a hate group due to its extremist rhetoric and ideology. The New Black Party is not recognized as a religious group, but its ideology is heavily influenced by the Nation of Islam, particularly through the leadership of Khalid Abdul Muhammad, a former Nation of Islam minister who became the NBPP's national chairman. Under Muhammad's leadership, the group adopted a theology that portrays white people and Jews as inherently evil, referring to them as devils and imposters. This belief system, rooted in a distorted interpretation of religious teachings, fuels the group's promotion of racial hatred and anti-Semitism. This group's ideology is considered heretical by mainstream religious communities and has led to its classification as a hate group by organizations such as the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League, Lehava. Lehava is an Israeli far-right organization that presents itself as a guardian of Jewish identity but is widely condemned for promoting hate and religious extremism. Founded by Bentzi Gopstein, a disciple of the radical Rabbi Meir Kahane, Lehava's ideology is rooted in Kahanism, a movement advocating Jewish supremacy and the expulsion of Arabs from Israel. Lehava vehemently opposes interfaith relationships, particularly between Jews and Arabs, viewing them as threats to Jewish purity. The group has actively disrupted mixed weddings and has been linked to violent acts, including arson attacks on institutions promoting coexistence. Lehava's rhetoric extends beyond anti-Arab sentiments. It has also targeted Christians and LGBTQ+ individuals, labeling them as dangers to Jewish society. Mainstream Jewish organizations and religious authorities reject Lehava's actions and ideology, considering them a distortion of Jewish teachings that emphasize compassion and justice. Internationally, Lehava has been designated as a hate group, with platforms like Facebook banning its presence due to its extremist activities. The group's exploitation of religious narratives to justify bigotry and violence underscores its classification as a heretical movement within Judaism.